We're back at Don Quixote, Spanish import store, where we're learning a little bit about wines. And at our last installment, we learned a little bit about the regions, where wine came from, and what dictates whether it's a good year or bad year, how to smell wine. Today we're going to learn a little bit more about the different wines that you can find in Spain. Carlos, what do we have first?
I think we talked before about Rioja.
Yes,
and I say a couple places where wines come from that can be excellent wines. And this is one of them. This is a Rivero del Duero. It's a very good wine, very popular wine. Rivero del Duero, most of the wines over there grow or mature 2 weeks ahead of the time than any other region of Spain. Okay, one of the reasons is because the high altitude. And all the wines from there used to call fighting wines because the alcohol level was about 18%. Okay, but then when the fermentation, cold fermentation starts, they are able to bring the level down because the wines from Ribera del Duero, they had not been good till the last 35 or 40 years. They had wines, are the pioneers in wines as Rioja, but they had not been good wines till the last 35 or 40 hours, and that's because of fermentation. And all the wines that came from there were that, about 18%. 17, 18%. You drink a couple glasses of wine and you fight your mother over there, you know. So that is one of the reasons. And then when the fermentation went down, that you can bring, because it's in a double jacket cask that they do the fermentation, they inject cold water to bring the temperature down. Then you are able to bring, because of the high sugar content of those grapes, because it's high altitude. The sugar, the grapes have so much sugar that when you ferment it, then the alcohol level is so high. It's the contrary over here in Michigan. When they ferment, they have to put sugar in it to bring the alcohol level up. If not, you would get wines over here 9% in Michigan or Indiana. So thanks to the sugar, you bring the alcohol up, okay?
But the sugar takes away from the purity and the taste.
Well, and if you get drunk, it will give you a headache and everything. You know, you don't. It doesn't take from the taste, because once it's fermented, you don't taste any sugar. Okay. What happens is that when you add sugar to something like that fermenting, and you drink about 5, 6 glasses of wine, you wake up next day and you know you've been drinking. Why Spanish wines, if they come from almost any area in Spain except Galicia, that is a little bit lower alcohol, you don't get a headache. It doesn't have sugar added, you know. So right now, like in Ribera del Duero, you are able to grow wine everywhere. They came up with a process that is called gota gota. And it's a process that now is used here in the United States in the last 35 years too, that is soaking. They do those soaking hoses. Well, over there they have the same thing. And what you get is not like a soaking hose, but you get that is every 5 minutes there is a drop of water coming down to the roots of the grape. Every 5 minutes, 1 drop. So they are able to grow wines at any altitude that they want. That before you couldn't, but they do it right now.
Now, does the water itself, does the pH balance of the water, is that significant in the quality? And is that also true of the soil? Does the soil and the water that's indigenous to that part of Spain, does that have a lot to do with why Spanish wine is pursued by people around the world?
Okay. The soil is one of the things. Okay, in Spain you have like in Castilla, La Mancha, different soil. You have like it's like little rocks, okay? And
so there's a high pH.
Yes. Aluminous in it. And it produces, is able to do wonderful things when you have soil like that. Not only has the minerals and needs very little water compared with other areas, but at night in La Mancha, because it's a plain, and Castilla, it gets very cold, during the day very hot. but at night cold to the point that sometimes it goes down to freezing. Now, in La Mancha, they grow the grapes close to the ground. So when the cold comes at night, those little arcilla rocks are so hot that they produce enough heat not to let the grapes freeze or anything. And that's one of the reasons. Now, when you go to Rioja, most over there, the wine that was at one time where it started were in the bottom of the rivers, and because of all the soil that they bring, and when they flood, they leave all the sediments that they bring and all the things, and that is one of the most fantastic fertilizers to grow wine in Rioja.
Well, thanks for this installment, Carlos, and we look forward to spending more time with you in future installments and learn a little bit more about the culture of Spanish wine.